Live from Huntington Bank Stadium, Huntington Bank Field, actually. It's the Paul Kuharsky podcast, post-win, as usual. Cleveland, Ohio. That's their stadium behind me. They're looking to rip it down, move to Brook Park, I believe. Titans 31, Browns 29. Exciting game. Had all the ingredients coming down. First two comments, Robert Prince. Nice to see the team get a win. Robert Price. DeMoro says, winning feels good. Caden says, had so much fun today. I'm shocked. Bustin' Diamond says, you know what? I'm finally happy on a Sunday. I am shocked that people are not coming in and lamenting immediately lost draft position. Swedish Dance Party is going to pretend like the fact that guys played like they gave a shit today means that they played like they gave a shit last week. I'm Paul Kuharsky. This is Paul Kuharsky Podcast. You should join paulkuharsky.com. I'm brought to you by Edley's Barbecue, best place to eat in and around Nashville. Swedish Dance Party hasn't been around for a long time. He asked me if Cedric Gray's on my list of Titans who give a shit. Who else on that list? Well, certainly played like he give a shit this week. And so did Skoronsky. And I didn't say Skoronsky didn't give a shit last week, but there were guys who played. Do you think that today, them winning 31-29 against the Browns means that last week when they lost by 22 and scored 3 points against the Jaguars, does today magically go back a week and mean that they gave a shit last week? Is that how it works? Because last week I saw a team that didn't look like it gives a shit. And guess what? This week doesn't do anything to change my opinion of last week. Now, it gives me a good impression of them this week. Sure, but doesn't do anything to change my opinion of last week. There's not a transference that happens. Now, it might have a bearing on next week, but guess what? I thought Seattle was a good loss, and I thought it would mean that they would give a shit for Jacksonville, and they didn't. See how that works? So don't come at me with the dumb logic like that. Teams trade into the top 5 all the time, Bustin' Diamond says. I'm fine myself losing the first overall if it turns out that way. Here's the other thing. The Giants and Vegas, the two teams who are ahead of the Titans, play each other. They play each other in week 17, and therefore one of them will lose unless they tie. One of them will lose. One of them losing will drop behind if things stay the same, and the Titans would be either first or second. Will be second if things stay the same. Now, you can also have, Titans could win again. Titans play New Orleans. New Orleans won today, so that was a breakthrough. But, a lot of things could still happen. Are the Colts in the worst position of any team in the AFC South? They're not in the worst position than the Titans. How does Cam go from looking like he's got it to looking horrible? Well, look, he's a shaky, up and down guy. I did not get to talk to Jim Schwartz. I would have liked to have seen him, obviously. We'll try to text him this week. Titans Media Corps has let Amani Hooker be a liability without any accountability. I've said multiple times that I don't think he's been very good this year at all after the new contract. And I think they misread the situation there. Casey Jones says, people happy now have every right to be, but will be mad about winning this game on draft night. Who the fuck cares about draft night today? Like, are you a fan of this team or not? If you're a fan of this team, then you're happy about them winning today. You should be. And if you're happy about them winning today, then you don't get the game back on draft night. You don't get the game back on draft night. My collar's all messed up there. I talked to somebody here who covers the Browns, and they do think that Stefanski will get fired. Look, that thing's been a mess. It's not been his fault. But, it's a bad organization. It's begun, says Zinder, ex-Ross. It's begun. Cam got the win. Shador outplayed Cam. Can't wait for the rest of the week. Yeah, it'll be a lot of dumb hot takes. And look, Cam, wasn't the reason they won. He certainly wouldn't have been the reason that they lost. Shador played well. He got 2 monster plays, a 60 and a 58. And the Titans could have used those kind of chunk plays for sure. Shador was better than I thought. I thought Shador's best play. I thought maybe the best play of the game was Shador's 7-yard touchdown where he danced around and got himself out of some massive trouble and then found the route up the middle for a touchdown run. I thought that was a great play. He's fun to watch. He played a very good game. I thought it was a very entertaining game, and quite frankly, I think I deserve to see some entertaining games. Amani Bustin Diamond wants to give a little credit. He did pop Corley on that first drive and set the tone a little bit. Howie the Titan, how are you? As far as rookie quarterbacks go, and with reasonable memory and expectations, those two quarterbacks looked really good today. Well, as far as rookie quarterbacks go, Jalen Daniels looked really good last year. C.J. Stroud looked really good his rookie year. Rookies looking really good and not exceptionally rare. Ben Hall is another one. All the people who aren't for draft position have emerged today. David Allen says, stupid to think about draft position until the last 2 weeks. Enjoy the games. Joshua says, you play to win the game. Lee. Jordan, how are you, Lee? It appears Sanders has improved more in 3 games than Ward in 13, just observing different circumstances maybe. Well, I mean, they're both on bad teams, so yeah, different circumstances. But I think he's allowed to freewheel a little bit more. He's playing behind a better offensive line, likely. Not as at risk. Better offensive coaching, for sure. Browns fans want him fired after that 2-point call. Well, the second 2-point call certainly wasn't very good. I don't know how we feel about the 2-point calls, period. I'm not a big fan of that. The thinking is you're going to have to score 2 touchdowns. If you go for 2 points twice, odds are roughly 50-50 that you're going to make a 2-point conversion. So you should come out with one of them, in which case you get your 2 points that you need after the combination of 2 touchdowns. And if you make the first one on your 50-50 chance, then you could kick an extra point on the second one and win the game. Richard says, after the false start by Latham, I thought the wheels were going to fall off. I thought that too. I mean, he had 2 things in relative short order. And I tweeted something about that here it comes from Latham. You might hear this anyway, Robert Stewart. I'm just glad we won, so we don't have to hear that we should have drafted Shador narrative. You might hear that anyway. I think a lot of people will say Titans should have drafted Shador Sanders. Look how much better he was. Look at the yardage he put up. They didn't lose because of Shador. They got the punt blocked, which was crucial. Yada, yada. I think, I wrote in my column, you're not going to know who's better or if they're of the same caliber for a couple of years. Nobody wants to wait a couple of years to make a judgment on something like that. And therefore, if you want hot take artistry, you'll get plenty of it this week. If you want the first chapter in, they're not going to play against each other on a super regular basis, but sometimes in the same conference. But I'm not convinced that this is super telling about how they stand against each other in a long term. I wouldn't say Cam looked really good. I didn't say Cam looked really good. He threw 2 touchdowns for the first time this season. So that was not nothing. Sorry, get over it. It is really cold in here, and I'm thinking about putting a hat on, and I don't think it's good form to do the podcast in a hat. I really don't know. But there's wind coming back at me. Josh, you got to know who wide receiver number 13 is. James Prochet. Yeah, Robert says we've got 100% re-sign Simmons. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that they intend to re-sign Simmons and that Simmons intends to re-sign. I absolutely agree with this, Trey, and I've been saying it. Showing some fight down the stretch goes a lot further than what's gained by tanking like what everybody wants. Also, there's no such thing as tanking. I mean, they could tank by putting bad players out there. I mean, you could tank by starting Brandon Allen. You could tank by, doing certain things. The coaches are not going to be complicit in the tank. The coaches are trying to write resumes. Players are trying to write resumes. So I don't know who's complicit in the tank. I don't know that the Titans need to work hard to draft near the top of the draft order. They're a very bad team. But, the front office could order the coach to do certain things in terms of lineup. Outside of that, I don't know how you tank. Mike McCoy has no reason to try to lose. Now, his philosophies lead to losing sometimes. The Titans got, quote unquote, lucky in that regard. David says he thinks the Titans have 2 more wins in them over the Saints and 1 upset. Jags may be locked into a playoff spot week 18. They might be. They might be competing for the top of the division. Both quarterbacks did some good things, 1 through 42 times and had 263 yak. A handful of nice yak plays Cam had got called back on penalties. Van dropped a big game and Cam missed DK. Sky's in fault. All true, but those things happen. So you don't take the game after it's over and shred up, well, this was dropped and that came in the form of yak and this and that. Stats are what the stats are. The yards are the yards and all of that. If we shredded up every game in NFL history and said, well, this guy suffered from a drop and this guy benefited from yak and all of that, then the box score, there would be like a secondary box score with all of that stuff. It would be very complicated. So what happens is the yards are the yards. The catches are the catches. The non-catches are non-catches. And it all sorts out in the end. I did not rent a car. First time ever in Cleveland without renting a car. I didn't want to go see the place that I usually want to go see here. And so hopefully getting an Uber to come to the media door is not a huge problem. If we go with a defensive-minded coach, Sean is saying about the Titans, would I like to see Denard kept around? If they go with a defensive-minded coach, he's not going to want Denard kept around. He's going to want people who practice his defense and his guys. The only way you keep Denard around, in my thinking, is if you've got an offensive-minded head coach who doesn't have a defensive guy. But I would think I think any head coach is going to have coordinators that he wants. I think it's a slim chance that Denard gets kept. I don't think Denard was great today with the lack of blitzing, but this is an important point. This is an important point by Tommy Angel. Tommy says, Cam played against the number 2 defense today, and Sanders played against the number 24 defense. And that is a major difference here. Now, the Titans did excellent work. Excellent work. They planned for it. A lot of offensive line, well, not a lot, but I think that Moore and Latham and Skoronski all talked about like taking on more this week, being, I don't know, somehow more serious-minded about the Myles Garrett plan. They had a very good plan. They threw a lot of passes into where Garrett was coming from. So Spears would come out. He would pop Garrett. Then he would release, and he would catch a quick ball from Cam. Garrett, talking after the game, said they ran a lot, and you can't get a sack against the run. And the Titans ran the best they've run in over 1,000 days. So I thought a very effective plan against Garrett. And they certainly still threw it and found a way to minimize him as a problem. And that alone is a huge win for the Tennessee Titans, not to let a guy who's been wrecking games wreck this game. Very big. Cedric Gray said that he ran out of gas. Just basically froze up. And Cody Barton was there when we were talking to him. He said they were running out of gas behind him too. So they had just played a defensive series. And, we're looking to go for a 100-yard sprint. You would expect them to do better than that, but they didn't. Yes, Stefanski would have tied the game just kicking, but he was looking for an edge, and it's not uncommon for people to take that approach. I don't know that I'd say that McCoy outcoached Stefanski. I mean, they did a good job on Garrett, but what it came down to there at the end were the 2-point conversions. And Stefanski, you could say, outthought himself on that, or you could say he's more of an analytics guy and went with analytics and they bit him in the ass. I agree with this. The run game looks better with Corey Levin over Cushenberry. The run game looks better with Corey Levin over Cushenberry, and that's a real indictment of Cushenberry and a real compliment to Levin. Levin's been around. We know the story on and off the team, on and off the practice squad. A real, Swiss Army knife of a guy in terms of the roster flexibility for them to have him on and off of the team. Settled on to the team more now. But Lord Cushenberry, I asked him a couple weeks ago when he was healthy and he was the guy given to us on Monday when they give us an offensive guy and a defensive guy. And I asked him, putting the Achilles aside, how do you feel you played for this team since you signed here? And he said, I've been disappointed. I've been a disappointment, I think he said. And at least he's got the self-awareness to know that. But that's a big signing that hasn't been what it needed to be when the Titans were really focused on getting the best guy, the guy they thought was the best guy on the market in here to help them. Just hasn't panned out. And Corey Levin, God bless him, has gotten better and better. And I felt like a couple games ago when Pollard had a good 10 carries, but not anything like what he got a hold of today in his career best game, that Levin was a key to it. And I felt like Levin was a key to it tonight against the Browns. So more power to Corey Levin. He should really have some fan praise for this one. Marcus Young says, I don't understand why the Titans ran the ball 3 times in a row with an 8-point lead at the end of the fourth. Well, they ran the ball there because thought it would kill the most time, had confidence in their defense, didn't want to be risky. I mean, that's Mike McCoy's conservatism that he answered that mostly was about trying to kill the most time. Again, I'm busting diamonds saying that Shedeur had yak. If Cam had yak, would we be discounting Cam because his receivers had yak? I mean, there isn't a box score that divides receiving yards into air yards and yak yards. They all count as receiving yards. I'm not going to score him down because his receivers did a good job with balls that he threw. Andre says, the run game finally woke up, but those guys are gone. Denard continues to show he's a damn good coach, but will still get fired. Cam didn't look very good either. We need number one. This team has no talent. I mean, nobody's arguing that this game, like, all of a sudden gave the Titans a hugely talented roster. It didn't. We know the Titans are bereft of talent. And having number one would be great for them to trade out. But having number 2 or 3 is not going to kill the franchise. And nobody's arguing that it's a well-coached team. I mean, it seems like you guys are arguing against me for points that I haven't made. I'm giving them credit for playing a good game today. Colts losing should help our strength of schedule, Robert says. I don't think there's any way the Titans can. Their strength of schedule is so good that I just don't think that there's any way that they're going to win a strength of schedule tiebreaker. So Tankathon is the place for this. And the Titans' strength of schedule is 571. Now, that's counting everybody. Las Vegas is the second worst of the three, second best of the three, tied 551, and the Giants are 537. I just don't think that there's enough that can happen among the teams that they play in the league among the 17 teams on their schedules that's going to alter that in a way that they can move up in that. If the Titans are tied, they're going to finish last amongst the teams that they are tied with. That's my firm belief. That's not coming out of any math or any study. That's just looking at the distance between those numbers, which are not close, right? Hey, if that could help us get a Marcus Freeman interview sooner, I don't know what you're talking about there, but they can interview Marcus Freeman anytime they want. I mean, it's a matter of Marcus Freeman's availability, not any kind of league rule. Notre Dame's a big baby, not playing in a bowl game. Are we supposed to feel bad for them? Oh, poor Notre Dame. Poor Notre Dame. Fuck Notre Dame. They don't want to play, don't play. Going to bother me not watching them? Not a bit. Could use Helm more than they used him today, certainly. What did Helm wind up with today? I'm looking here. Pass receiving. DK, 8 targets, 5 catches. Spears, 4 targets, 2 catches. Chig, 2 and 2. Alec, 3 and 1. Helm, targeted twice, 1 catch for 6 yards. Yeah, he can do more than that. DMR, 1 and 1. Prochet, targeted once. I think that was, well, that's not the one that was undone by the timeout in that friggin' ridiculous sequence. We can only imagine what the team could have been if it played this consistently up to this point, Andre says. Well, they also have, look, the Browns have some issues. That's for sure. Blue and orange. Giants and Raiders play each other, which I said. Titans must lose out. At worst, they would be number 2 pick. So you're rooting for them to lose. Did you want them to lose today during this blue and orange? I just struggle with how you could be a fan of the team and want it to lose. Like it goes against everything being a fan is. No, Xer. Raiders have 2 conference wins and Titans have only 1. Isn't that a tiebreaker? Tiebreaker is strength of schedule, period. That's it. Draft tiebreaker. Blue and orange says the Giants have a real shot at winning every single game they play the rest of the season. Raiders, you're not as confident. The Raiders have no shot at winning most of the games they play. I listed these games on Twitter, so I'm going to try to take a look. So the Raiders are at Philadelphia. I know Philly's playing shitty, but way more talented. At Houston, a tremendous defense. How do you see them winning these games? Against the Giants. Kansas City could be mailing it in at the end of the season, particularly if they're eliminated, but it's still a big rivalry game. I don't see Kansas City laying down for the Raiders. Giants have Washington, which was horrible today. That's who you said. So, yeah, the Giants could do a lot of winning. I'm sorry. Washington, horrible today. Good last week. Minnesota, horrible, but just pasted Washington. At Las Vegas and Dallas, which, be the last game of the season. Could be win or be out for Dallas. A lot of compelling games there, obviously. Titans at San Francisco next week. Kansas City and New Orleans at home. At Jacksonville to end. Primary talk will be about Sanders versus Ward this week. TM says, I urge you to think about the supporting casts. I think Cleveland's got a better roster. Cleveland's defense is what's supposed to be good, and their defense didn't do anything. It's unrealistic to expect the team to turn around quickly with a high pick / trade. J-Rob's King's ransom trade for multiple picks was also coupled with Mike Vrabel and a Tanny career resurgence. It's not that unrealistic. Go read Mike Herndon's piece at paulkuharsky.com. The right first-year coach, without a ton of talent, without a ton of new talent, can turn a team around in a hurry, record-wise. Matt Nagy even did it in Chicago. The first year in Chicago was a big turnaround. Vrabel's doing it right now without a big infusion of talent. Inherited a quarterback that didn't play well his first year. Clearly a talented guy who's played well, very well in his second year MVP conversation. I'm not saying Cam's the same kind of talent. He's not. But Cam can make a big jump from year 1 to year 2 with the right kind of coach. Look, go read that Mike Herndon piece. There are a lot of teams that have made a big jump with the right coach. The right coach, first and foremost. Some infusion of talent, but not a gigantic roster makeup. RP says, I think the strength of schedule this year should give Titans fans hope. We're taking on the NFL's best at our hopefully Titans' worst. Can only go up from here, hopefully. I think it's a fair point. Can they get out of Ridley's contract fairly easily? Easily enough that they're going to do it, yeah. Yeah, there's some talk here about Cam running RPOs. Mike says they need to run more RPOs. And Fatty Matty says Cam can't run RPOs. Come on, man. Doesn't seem like Cam is very good at RPOs at the NFL level. Now, I think it's something that they certainly should try to do a better job of, work on during the offseason and add some, add into the mix at least a little bit more next year. I'm Paul Kuharsky. This is Paul Kuharsky Podcast. I write for a little site called paulkuharsky.com. If you're not a member, I'd urge you to join. Tomorrow, Blake Bedingfield will have a great post reviewing this game from a scouting perspective. He scouted for the Titans for 19 years, helped ensure that the team drafted Derrick Henry. You could read about that in a piece Joe Rexrode wrote at The Athletic near the end of Henry's Titans career. Drew Beatty does film reviews. Mike Herndon writes brilliant analytical pieces like this one I'm telling you need to go read about the two kinds of coaching types that there are out there and some fast turnarounds that we've seen lately. Braden Gall writes about college football and what you need to keep your eye on in the draft, all for $7.50 a month. Plus, you support independent journalism and the guy who holds the team's feet to the fire more than anybody else. Imagine if I wasn't out there, what these guys could be getting away with when they're making stupid decisions and people aren't really wringing their necks about it. I urge you to support me. I'm sponsored by Edley's Barbecue. 8 locations in and around Nashville. Great food. Here's the thing. They got their own app. So if you can't make it to Edley's, you don't have to pay DoorDash type fees to get Edley's to come to you. They're fast. They're inexpensive. They've got big portions. They get the food to you hot. It's really good. So take a business person to lunch there soon. Take your family to dinner there soon. And if you can't do that, order it up on the Edley's app. Get it delivered to your house. Great, great stuff. If you're unfamiliar with it, you need to get familiar with it in a hurry. And I know most of you are familiar with it. You need to get there soon or get it on your table. Edley's Barbecue, the best around. You can't do any better. I encourage you to check it out. Here's somebody trying to give their kid a bath and listen to my summary at the same time. Don't ever say you didn't do anything for me. Next, you got to become a member. I don't recognize your name, but I appreciate you being here, and I hope your kid is being cooperative. Mobile interface is it's built to be on a phone, and it primarily the web. Bustin' Diamond, you're not a member? Come on. It's built for a phone. Breaking through bits. PK has earned our subscription this year. He agrees. What are some people's fascinations with Stefanski as a coaching option? All I see is a guy who keeps giving up play calling duties, has an elite defense carry him, and did decent with Flacco. Strong no. The guy has won Coach of the Year twice. He works for an organization with ridiculously bad ownership that handcuffed him with a ridiculously bad Deshaun Jackson contract that basically dictates everything this organization does because they have so much money tied up. He's a good offensive coach, and I put him on the list. He's on my top 3 or 4 for the Titans. I think he's probably due for a change, but I think he's done a pretty good job here. Will Brian Callahan resurface next year? I think if he wants to, he's probably got enough friends in the league that he could go be a quarterback coach or something like that somewhere. But can't say for sure. I don't know if he wants to. He's due probably about $3 million. He can sit and make that without doing anything. Why are visors a thing? Can I ask Jim Wyatt and Mike McCoy why they still wear them? They don't make sense to me. Why not just wear a whole hat? They don't make sense to me either, but look, that's my head. So that clearly needs a hat. I told Jim Wyatt that he needed, right when McCoy got the job, to do a story about visors. First person. I wear a visor. The head coach I cover wears a visor. Here are other famous visor guys, Spurrier, Kirby Smart, whoever else. He had a great story. He did not take me up on this fantastic offer. You should write him that question and get him to put it in a mailbag. Minnesota has to be the most disappointing team of the year, Robert says. They're right up there for sure. Stefanski off one game is a buffoon, according to Fatty Madden. Didn't know anything about him before today, but he's going to eliminate him off of one game. 47 seasons, and yes, it goes against everything being a fan about. That said, no team gives a boatload for the second or third pick. So, yes, I wanted a loss today, Aunt Deezy said. I think you could do pretty well for the second or third pick, not as well as you can do for the first pick. But I agree with Joshua Robbins right here. You're a bad fan if you want us to lose today. Now, I don't care if you're a bad fan. Go be a bad fan. To me, being a fan means you want your team to win. Are you a fan of the guys in the locker room? Like, if you're a fan of the team, then the team is the guy, right? The team is the team right now. The team right now are those guys. Are you going to tell Jeff Simmons? If you met Jeff Simmons face to face, you would slurp away. Oh, Jeff, I love you. Jeff, you're my favorite. Sign my jersey. Sign my hat. Take a picture with my son. If you're doing all that bullshit and not telling Jeff, hey, that game in Cleveland, I really wanted you to lose to get the number 1 draft pick, which you would not tell Jeff Simmons to his face, then you're full of shit. Jim Stamos, how we doing? Great win today. Titans actually looked really good. Didn't want to ask you before the half. McCoy got conservative again. They could have driven for a field goal. Look, McCoy being McCoy. I mean, this is the worst team, T-Man. This is the worst team they've had in Nashville. Unquestionably. I mean, I've covered all of them. This is as bad as they've been. The CRA says the thing about this win that's good is the young guys stepping up. Marcus Harris, Gray, DK, Eilmanor, James Williams, basically everyone but Latham. That's great. I think so too. And I like this thought a lot by Guitar Metal Demon. Good thought, which is why I say a high pick or trade isn't make or break. I believe a great coach is more important to the organization right now. I mean, they need great players for a great coach, but the great coach is the key to this whole thing. Key to the whole thing. Here's an endorsement for those of you on the fence about joining. And I won't disagree with Scott here. Herndon is worth it all by himself. I like to think I've got something to do with it as well. In a perfect world, is Eilmanor your number 3 next year or 4? DK 4 or 5? Here's my perfect world. You get a free agent, Pierce from Indianapolis, Dobbs from Green Bay, one of those two guys. And you draft, ideally, you've got 2 first-rounders, let's say. You draft a wide receiver with one of those 2 picks. Somebody comparable to the Tampa Bay guy, Ibuka. He's your number 1, the draft pick. That guy that you get a free agent with some experience is your number 2. DK and Ileman are your 3s and 4s. That's what I would do. Oh, okay. I'm sorry here. He's a member. I don't, Odd Todd. Well, I don't know you by Odd Todd, but I certainly don't know you by your name in here. But my apologies, and thank you for your continued support. Cam's quick release and ability to change arm angle make him perfectly equipped to run RPOs. Don't understand that statement. He could be perfectly equipped to run them, but not run them well, and he's not run them well. I know there's some talk, somebody asking me if Kingsbury for head coach Austin Harrison, do I think they interview him? I mean, I think they'll interview a lot of people. There's some talk that Cliff Kingsbury doesn't necessarily want to be a head coach again, which I think might be a good idea. I mean, he's proved himself to be a very good coordinator. He was not a good head coach in the pros or in college. And sometimes it's better just to know what you are and stick with it. Jags just gave up 2 first-rounders for Travis Hunter. And what spot was Travis Hunter drafted in? 2, 3, 4? 3? So close to getting a classic PK Rain. I don't even know what we were talking about. Ed Henry, how are you? Ed Henry is a diehard. I love Ed. Special teams is often underrated, but Bones' job he's done this year with such a depleted roster might be the best position coaching from the Titans in a very long time. He's been terrific. He's been terrific. And I love that he is so willing and able to describe things with such clarity to us every Wednesday. It's almost like he looks forward to it, which is terrific. McCoy is coaching like he's coaching for his job. He's definitely not coaching for his job. Saleh, 1 vote for Saleh. I like Saleh as well. Look at Kalen Duncan. Celebrated the win by joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here, this is exactly right. A great coach will make bad players look a lot better. That is exactly right. Mike Vrabel did it. Now it fell off. I mean, his last 2 years were not great by any means. But that's, I think Vrabel's proven right now he's a pretty fucking good coach. I think it's a mistake. It's a mistake to get rid of him. Here's the piece that you have to read from Mike Herndon about coaches. Trying to put that in your chat. Would I re-sign Jihad Ward? I certainly would try. He's been good. Him plus a draft pick plus Femi. I mean, I don't know that Femi's anything I'm counting on next year. Hasn't done a damn thing to show anything. I hope he's back for maybe the last 2 or 3 games. He's running on the side field last week. He's making progress. But, Ward depends. It shouldn't depend that much on money. I mean, you can't break the bank for him, obviously. But what kind of market is there for him? I would try to have him back on the team next year. He's been a pleasant surprise. Good locker room guy and productive. Isle Manor has a lot of room for improvement, says Richard. Doesn't play as well as his combine scores. Hopefully improves next year. Still a 3rd at best. I thought he was a 3rd at best when everybody was telling me he was going to be the number 1 receiver on the team after 2 or 3 weeks. You remember those people? If you're in here, raise your hand and show your face. Can be physical, not especially fast. Needs to track the ball better. Reemerged today. I mean, he disappeared for a while and he's hurt for a game. But, he's got some skills to like. But he's a 4th-round pick. I mean, look, you're not going to hit home runs with fourth-round picks. Fourth-round picks are generally going to look like fourth-round picks. Alan Ditto, probably rethinking this. How you doing, my friend? Do I think the reason why Bones didn't get the interim head coaching job is because they wanted to retain him after the season? I think that might be part of it. Though, with the Rams, he got the interim job and then stayed. But you have to negotiate that. So it could be a little slippery there. He is, I believe, signed for 3 years. They give coordinators 3-year deals. And so Denard's got another year left. Holtz has another year left. They extended everybody so that they wouldn't be lame ducks, which is the right thing to do. So everybody's got a year left. And Bones, I believe, has 2 years left. So they've got control over everyone. Here, Bobby Slowick, somebody wants, because Bobby Slowick flamed out. You've got to be kidding. Josh McDaniels not getting another head coaching opportunity in the NFL from anybody. This, I hope we did the right thing with Shedeur. It's 3 games for Shedeur, first off. The ultimate judgment about Cam versus Shedeur is going to come like maybe the end of next year. But I just don't buy that the whole league passed that. It's not just the Titans that chose Cam over Shedeur. I mean, the Giants wanted to trade up to get Ward. And the whole league, much of it quarterback needy, passed on Shedeur Sanders. And I don't buy that they did it because of the distraction stuff. If you need a quarterback, you're going to take a good quarterback. If they thought he was a good quarterback, they would have taken it. So, the whole league passed on a good quarterback. It was good. Today he had his moments. He had 2 really big plays. But, didn't knock me off my feet. It's good. Looked like a good up-and-coming player. We'll see. Vrabel didn't want to be here at the end. Even the most loyal Vrabelists have to admit that, and I include myself in that group. What you do is you don't let it get to the end. You fucking manage your coach for the time so that you don't create the end point. See how that works? You've got a good head coach, and things start to go south. You sit everybody down like a good boss, which Amy Adams Strunk is not, and you get things right. And you don't fuck him over by hiring an idiot like Rand Carthon, who was a big spur in the whole thing, and clearly everyone saw after 2 years, unqualified, still paying the price because J.C. Latham doesn't look very good. Devondre Sweat doesn't look very good. His free agents weren't very good. So, what you do when you have a good coach like Mike Vrabel is try to be accommodating and make sure that you make things work. Hey, Mike, let's sit down and figure out how we can make this thing all work, because I really value you, because I think you're a really good head coach. So let's sit down and sort this thing out before things start to spiral, because I can envision a spot 2 years from now where things could really go wrong for us and get sideways, and I'd hate for that to happen. That's what needed to happen. But no. Jacksonville does look to be in a hell of a spot. Hard to argue with that right now. Somebody's quoting Tommy Callahan to me. Tell me Tommy Callahan's qualification. Like, who's Tommy Callahan? First off, give me a real name. If you want to be cited as somebody with some credibility, a guy citing sources. I'm an anonymous guy citing anonymous sources. That's 2 levels of anonymity, and don't cite him in here. Myles Garrett was not hurt. Titans were smart enough and good enough to keep him to 1 sack 2 additional hits, 1 pass defense. Really, really great work by the Titans. Hard to believe, but true. Stop talking about Vrabel when they get a coach as good as Vrabel. When they stop doing things like deciding, hey, you know what we'll do? We'll hire Rand Carthon. How are we doing, Sammy? Good to see you. I know, and I shouldn't have mentioned his name. This is a good review. Ed Henry says, my Northeast upbringing lands my Southern accent no further south than Northern Virginia. I'm surprised I made it that low, to be honest. I'll take it. Breakthrough Bits has to mention another idiot's name, so I'm not going to put that up. But, yeah, I knew Vrabel was special. Yeah, Sammy. I'm glad for you guys that they got a win. Are you losing out? I mean, I don't think you're going to San Francisco and winning. I think you'll get out coached there by somebody that's doing kind of Vrabel-esque things in terms of piecing things together pretty impressively. Give Simmons credit for hearing enough about Garrett all week and dominating today. That's what superstars did, outplay the other team's star when you need it most. Or at least match him, right? And he outplayed him today. He was a little too involved with the crowd for me, but he kind of talked about it afterwards that he was having fun with it. They quarter switched and they came down this end, so fans were giving it to him down there. He came down here and kind of gave it back. He was doing whatever Shador does, making that gesture to the crowd. And having some fun with it. Got called for offside. He's always got an objection to his penalty. You know, he made the excuse about why he got called for offside, but then he had back-to-back dominating plays. So he was talking about, you know, when you make that mistake, you've got to offset it with big plays. And he did that. You know, Simmons has been really spectacular. And it's such a shame that it's such a waste that he's playing that well with so much badness going around him. So I'm pleased for him that in a season where he's made so many great strides that he's playing this well, and then he gets a win today. And I'm pleased that so many of you are on the side of a win. And for those of you that would prefer a loss, I'd like you to explain it to Jeff Simmons face to face. I think Jags Houston ought to be pretty interesting. I just don't have. I mean, I don't have great faith in either of them, but Jaguars always kind of feel like they blow it. But I don't believe in Houston's offense. Their offensive line is a problem also. So it's a battle between two teams with holes in it. Hey, it is really cold here, and I'm going to cut it just a touch short. Eat at Edley's Barbecue. Subscribe to paulkuharsky.com. Brett and Gall and I still sorting out a time to do a football show tomorrow. You'll see me, I hope, on Midweek Report on Wednesday with Sammy, who's in here. Paul Kuharsky Podcast Thursday or Friday. We will see Robbie and Rex Road Wednesday morning at 7:30. I've got a flight at like 5 or 6 in the morning, going to be real pleasant. Pray that an Uber will come close to this door and not be kept out of some bubble. I'll put on the hat in your honor. Don't block a box. Be sure, please, to lock your locks. I appreciate each and every